last week on the night of Jesus' betrayal. And the other is what happens in the passage immediately before the bit that Graham read. And we're going to look at them first and see what light they show on this conversation between Jesus and Peter. So first of all, I need some help. And we're going to go back to before Jesus' death. And we're going to just have a look at what happened on the night of Jesus' betrayal. And hopefully you'll remember most of this from last week if you were here. So I need some help. I need 4 people to help me. 4 people that might be willing to lend a hand. Keen. Great. Come on up. That's great. Thank you, Robin. I need 3 more. I need someone with a very good set of lungs. Thank you, Daisy. Oh, right, okay, brilliant. Tessa and Poppy. Right, who's got the loudest voice? Oh, that's very confident, Daisy. Daisy, have you ever wanted to be a cockerel? Cockerel?
Yeah, where they...
Do you know what sound cockerels make?
Cackle at the start of dawn, at the crack of dawn.
Yeah, do you know what sort of sound they make? They do a cock-a-doo-ga-doo. Can you do that?
Cock-a-doodle-doo!
Brilliant. Hold on to the microphone. You're the cockerel. Come on. Okay, right. I need someone to be a servant girl. Would you mind being a servant girl? Yeah, is that okay? Thank you very much. I need someone to be Peter. Which one of you wants to be Peter? Tessa's nicked the Peter role. Okay, that's brilliant. And you're going to be someone else. You're just someone else. We actually don't know who you were, but it just says someone else. Is that okay? So what I thought we would do is kind of act out what happened when Jesus was arrested and when Peter denies him. Is that okay? So if I kind of talk it through, do you think that we can then sort of put a bit, you can kind of pretend to act it out a little bit? Peter, you're going to have to work really hard. You're going to have to work especially hard, Robin. Okay? Is that all right? And your bit comes right at the end, and we expect volume. Okay? Very important that we have lots of volume. Okay? Right. So could we have Peter to the fore, please? Come and join me, Peter. So this is on the night that Jesus was betrayed. Jesus has been taken to the high priest's house. He's been put on trial, and Peter has followed Jesus. He's followed him from the Garden of Gethsemane down. They'd gone across a valley and up the other side of the hill, and that's where the high priest's house is. And there's a courtyard. And are you any good at creeping around? Could you pretend to be creeping in? Yeah? You don't want anyone to see you. You're just going to creep in. And when you go inside, there's a fire on the floor, and you're going to sit down by that fire. How do you think Peter was feeling, guys? Nervous, frightened. So you kind of got to look a bit like that, yeah? Yeah? And Peter is sitting there. And then there's a servant girl, Poppy. Poppy, you spot Peter, and you know that Peter... Oh, Poppy, sorry, Robin. Robin, you spot him, and you go up to him, and you say, you go up to Peter, and you say to Peter that you think that Peter used to be with Jesus. Yeah, and you pretend to say that? You haven't got to say it. It's okay. You're doing great. And what do you think you would be saying, Peter?
I don't know who Jesus is.
You don't know who Jesus is. And would you be protesting loudly and vehemently and all of that, yeah? Could you act it out a bit, yeah?
I don't know who Jesus is.
Brilliant. Great acting. Absolutely, seriously impressive. Well, things carry on a bit more. And Robin, the servant girl, comes back and says, I know you. You came from Galilee. You're a Galilean. Now, Mark was telling us last week that they had different accents. So I don't know whether you've got a different accent there, Tess, or not. But anyway. And again, second time, are you going to ask, say you were with Jesus? Yeah? No? Go on. And now how are you starting to feel, Peter? Annoyed. You're getting annoyed now. Okay. And then finally, there's somebody else. We don't know who it is. It just says somebody else goes up to Peter and says, guess what you're going to say? You were with Jesus. Can you do that?
You are with Jesus.
And what are you going to say?
I
That's brilliant. That's really good. It's like you kind of read the script. That is seriously impressive. And that's the third time that Peter denies Jesus. And as he does it, cock-a-doodle-doo, the cock crows. And he remembers how Jesus had said, before the cock crows 3 times, you'll deny me 3 times. Wow. Did they do well? I think they did really well. I've got another story in a moment. Are you willing to come back and help me for that one? We're going to need Peter again, definitely. And you might have to be some other characters as well. And we might need a few extras. Have a seat for a moment. I do love a bit of acting. Yeah. So, guys, how do you think Peter was feeling when that cock crowed? I have to say, one thing I disagreed with your talk, Mark. You mentioned it was a rooster. It was not an American bird. A rooster is an American bird. A cockerel is an English bird. I'm sure it was down to your translation, but just next time you're working on the Greek, it's an English bird, please. It's a cockerel, not a rooster. Otherwise, great talk. Sorry. So, can you imagine what Peter would be feeling like? All those protestations to Jesus, I won't deny you. And then it's not like he's been arrested by soldiers or the people in authority. It's an itsy-bitsy, and it really wasn't itsy-bitsy, servant girl, and someone who we don't know who they are, that's gone up to him and said, you were with Jesus. And that's been enough for him to crumble and to give up. I think he must have felt an awful failure. He'd let Jesus down and he wasn't good enough. So that's the first event, the first story. And the second one takes place just before the passage that Graham read to us. So Jesus was taken away after that. He was put on trial, condemned to death, executed, crucified. His body's placed in a borrowed tomb. And then on the third day, the women go to the grave and the tomb is empty. And Mary in the garden is the first to see the risen Jesus. And then all of the disciples except Thomas see him. Finally, Thomas. And over a period of about 30 days, Jesus appears to them a number of times. Everyone seems to have a special moment with Jesus, except for Peter. How do you think he's feeling when Jesus talks to Thomas? He talks to Mary, but he doesn't talk to him. Go on, Daisy, hand up. Jealous? Yeah, and I think he would have felt even more ashamed of letting Jesus down. Even more, I think he would be really struggling to forgive himself that when Jesus needed him the most, he failed, you know. So Peter does what Peter does. He decides to go fishing. I don't know any anglers here today? No anglers. You know, it's a great thing. When you're a bit stressed, go fishing. It's not with a fishing rod, though. It's back to the Lake of Galilee. And it's a little bit significant, I think. It's like Peter is going back. What did Peter do before he followed Jesus? He was a fisherman. It's like Peter's going back to his old life. He's messed up. I'm going to go back to fishing because I've let Jesus down and at least I can fish. I'm not a great disciple, but I can fish. I'll go back to fishing. And this is where I need some more help, guys. So I need some more. I have the same volunteers or some more volunteers. It'd be really good if you can come and help me. We need a boat, okay? Now, that's a bit tricky. Actually, I think we could... Carol, could you give me a hand? Shh, calm. We'll have a boat. This is called making it up as you go along. Right, can we have the other half of the boat? Now, excuse me. Okay, so Tess, are you happy to be Peter again? Yeah, brilliant. Tess, you're in the boat. Right, I need someone to be Jesus this time. Isaac, you've had a big role last time, so we have someone else this time. Isaac, could you mind being Jesus? Right, you're not in the boat. You're on the shore, so come and stand over here. Brilliant, Isaac. Thank you very much. Then we need some more disciples. It says that Thomas was there. Come on, Thomas, in you get. It says the sons of Zebedee were there. That's James and John, so 2 sons of Zebedee. And it also says, perfect number, somehow you've got to fit in there. I don't know how you're going to do it. Somehow you've got to fit in there. It also said Nathaniel was there. So you're Nathaniel. Isn't that brilliant? There was probably other disciples, but we'll just stick with what we've got in the boat. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. All in the boat, and you're going to go fishing. And so to go fishing, you need a net. Not quite sure how you're going to manage this. So you're going to fish all night, okay? So let's get the net spread out. So, and at the end of the night, you pull your net in. And what's in it?
Fish.
No fish. Nothing. And they see this person on the side of the lake. And they're not sure who it is. And he shouts out to them, put the net down on the other side. Can you do that?
Put the net down on the other side.
Well, I think we'll go back this way because no one can see. Now, someone's been cutting out fish for me. Anyone been cutting out fish? Can anyone collect up the fish we've been cutting out? Can someone gather them up and bring them forward? We need 143, but I don't think we've got 143. I mean, we'll just have to use our imaginations for the rest of it. Oh, we have a fish. You've caught one. Say hooray. One. Brilliant. And any more? Into the net. That's great. Into the net. Fill up the net with fish. Brilliant. Keep going, guys. Lots of fish in the net. They keep coming. All these fish. Oh, dear me. Right. And so this time they try to put... Oh, do you want more coming? Even more fish. This is very impressive. Do you want to put the last one in? Thank you very much, Robin. And so they pulled and they pulled and they pulled. And it was so heavy, the net was nearly going to break. And there were so many fish in it, they couldn't believe it. And it was at that point they remembered what happened right at the beginning of the story when Jesus came to them on the Lake of Galilee and called them to follow him for the first time. And they looked at the person on the shore, and John said, now which one of you was John and which one was James? I can't remember. John or James? John. You can be John? John, brilliant. John said, it's the Lord. And pointed to Jesus. And Peter jumped up out the boat. Peter. And I'm getting mixed up with my characters, aren't I? And dived into the water. Big splash. And went across. Great. And there was another fire. Jesus had a fire, and he had some fish and some bread cooking, and he said, come and eat the food with me. And that's what happened immediately before our reading. So we've kind of got to the reading now. You were really good. Can we have a round of applause for our acting crew up here? Thank you very much. Brilliant. If you want to take the fish back and colour them in and take them home, that would be amazing. Oh, hang on. The fish have been... Actually, why don't we put that down? We can put the fish in the bucket and you can take the fish off with you. Leave me one fish.
Yes, I've got fish.
Oh, that one's really nicely coloured in. I'm nicking that one. That's all right. I just need the one. Thank you very much. One? Would you want to take that one? Well, if you take them, in the moment, we'll take them to the back and everyone can sort out whose fish is whose. Thank you. So they... Oh, wow. Would you like a job? We have to move chairs quite often in this church. Brilliant. First rate. You can do that every week. That was amazing. So the meal is over. They've eaten fish and bread around the fire with Jesus, and they can't quite believe it's him. And then suddenly Peter gets his moment with Jesus. And Jesus starts to ask him some questions. He begins by saying, Jesus, do you love me more than these? Did you notice that line in the reading? Do you love me more than these? What does he mean? Does he mean the other disciples? Or does he mean the what's left of the fish? I wonder if it's almost kind of, do you love me more than your old life? Do you really love me enough to follow me? And of course, Jesus kind of Peter just can't believe it. And he says, yes, of course I love you, Jesus. And Jesus says, feed my lambs. And kind of, that's really tough. How do you think Peter felt? Uncomfortable, kind of stirred up, being asked, do you really love me? Because he must know that he's let Jesus down. And then Jesus doesn't stop there. He asks him again, do you love me? And this time he says, will you feed my sheep? And he does it 3 times. Why do you think he does it 3 times? Yeah, he denied him 3 times. And why do you think? Why do you think he does that? Not just because of the 3 times. But is he trying to make? Do you think he's trying to make Peter feel guilty? Give him a bit of a guilt trip? It feels to me like he asks him 3 times. It's almost like he's asking him 3 times to wipe out the 3 times where Peter has denied him. He's not just he's not just saying, it's all right, Peter. He's confronting Peter with the depth of his brokenness. But in the midst of that, he's saying, but there's hope. Feed my lambs. There's still a place for you. And it's kind of like through words and through actions, Jesus is saying, I want you to carry on following me. Peter began following Jesus when they pulled in the first catch of fish in Galilee. And Jesus said, be a fisher of men. Come and follow me. And they've acted it out. They've just seen it all happen again in the context of this. And it's like words and actions saying the same thing. Follow me. Follow me. You've got a fresh start. And Jesus kind of takes it further. It's not a comfortable combination. Jesus kind of foretells the death that Peter is going to die for following Jesus. It's a costly thing to follow Jesus. And there's no mention of another denial in that. And he finally says to him, follow me. We all mess up. But Peter reminds us that there's nothing that we can mess up over that can't be forgiven and can't be put right. That God still has plans for our lives, no matter how much we mess up. And that there's nothing that needs stand in the way of us following him. Doesn't mean it won't be costly. It was going to be really costly for Peter. But it does mean there's always the possibility of a fresh start and a second chance. I'm going to pray, and then Julia's going to lead us in our prayers. Lord, just thank you that Peter reminds us that you've always got something more in store for every one of us. Lord, we may not deny you in that way, but we all do things which we know let you down, which let ourselves down. Lord, we just thank you that because of the cross, the possibility of forgiveness is always there. We just need to come back. You have a place and a plan for each one of us. Amen. Julian, thank you.